I don't like this one bit. I don't know why, but something's driving me to continue. No matter the cost. I'm just ultimately curious now. It's just that intense suspicion and that curiosity that's starting to get the better of me. Let's see what happens. After hanging up on Shion, I searched for Rika's phone number on my school's contact list. There. My fingers trembled with urgency, and I failed multiple times to put in a simple 5-digit number. Wait, 5 digits? Oh wait, they probably got a different system. I'm used to, the 7-digit. Sometimes if you have to put in the area code for your number. But this is just me living in the United States, not knowing about the phone system in Japan. Keiichi, are you calling someone at this hour? It's late, and it's being rude to the other person. That doesn't matter right now, I shouted angry at my mother, listening to the dial tone. Pick up, come on, pick up. The time was 11 p.m. It wasn't early. Essentially the middle of the night. Had Rika already gone to bed? Her phone will be ringing constantly though, so would she get back up for me? But Rika didn't pick up. She didn't pick up. She didn't even bother to pick up. Maybe she might have happened to miss it. Her bed was just too far away from the phone. The sound of a phone ringing gets clearer and clearer the longer you go on sleeping. Then, possibly in the bathroom? Must be taking a bath, maybe. If that was the case, even if she heard the phone, she wouldn't be able to pick up. A little late to be taking a bath. It's possible she normally takes baths right before going to bed. Just getting it. Wait 30 minutes and then call again. Even as I was thinking that, I called her house over and over. I kept calling, over and over, again and again. I kept calling her, but she never picked up once. I kept trying for about 30 minutes, yet she wasn't picking up. Were my phone calls so persistent she had gotten scared to pick up the receiver? It couldn't possibly be it. No point in doing this any longer. The best thing to do would be to go there in person. Where was Rika's house, though? Shit, never even asked her where she lived. Her residence was written there in the contract list, but it was an address with mostly numbers, so I couldn't tell where just by reading it. There a map or something? Rika Furude. Last name Furude. A bit of an odd last name, so it might be easy to find. Thinking that, I rummaged around the drawer with a phone book, but I could only find things like takeout menus and phone numbers for public establishments. Shit. I tore one thing after another out of the drawer, but I couldn't think of any clues as to where her house was. Calm down. If you don't know, then just ask. Ask someone. That's it. Rena's gotta know. I looked up Rena's phone number on the contact list. Rena Ryugu. There she was. Hello, this is Ryugu. The voice of a grumpy-sounding old man. Must have been Rena's father. Calling in the middle of the night, so I need to be polite. I'm sorry for calling so late. This is Maibara. Is there any chance Rena-san is around? Rena's taking a bath. Oh, I think she's done. Rena, there's a friend of yours on the phone. Oh, right. Rena Ryugu was her real name, wasn't it? I've gotten so used to calling her Rena that hearing her real name caught me a little off guard. Hello, this is Rena. It's me, Keiichi. Sorry for calling so late. Huh? Keiichi-kun? What do you need at a time like this? Actually, I want to know where Rika's house is. She seemed a little appalled that I called her for something like that at this hour. However, she spoke her next words seriously as she caught on how urgent the need was. Okay, sure. You know the assembly hall on the grounds of the framerate shrine? There's a 2-story shack used for storage behind it. That's where she lives. I couldn't immediately visualize the place, but as long as I knew she lived on the shrine grounds, I'll just look around. Got it, thanks. Sorry for calling so late. Apologize to your dad for me too, will you? Okay, but Keiichi? Why do you want to know where Rika lives? She asked in an unusual sharp way, halting me before I could hang up the phone. I hesitated for a moment. He was killed because I told him. Keiichi-kun, if you're still listening, could you answer me? Why are you asking where she lives at a time like this? She affected her usual tone. Beneath her words lay a certain tension, like she intuitively sensed something going on. What will you do? If it's Rena, couldn't you tell her? Keiichi? Rena's being serious. Please answer me. She once again asked me in a tone so forceful, I just couldn't imagine her using it normally. I was taken aback by the vigor. She was Rika's friend too. She has the right to be concerned about her disappearing. If I told Rena, then, even if only for a moment, I could drive away my horrifying fears. Rena, well, I can't exactly tell you why, but yeah? Her tone was seriousness incarnate. Just from the tone, I could feel her saying, no matter what you say, I'll believe in you. The subtle sense of security gave me the courage to reveal the truth. I have a feeling that Rika is in danger. You mean like a premonition, or do you have some reason to believe? I really didn't have time to go back and forth with Rena about this. Still, I think listening to her calm voice soothed the pointless impatience. I don't have much reason, but yet I still hesitated. I told Rika that we'd snuck into the ritual storehouse. The mayor to whom Shiana confessed before that disappeared, so it was possible Rika might also, suffer the same fate. I don't know how to explain it to Rena. While I was tongue-tied, she spoke up. Sorry for asking something so weird. I thought about it, and it isn't like you need to be sure. She laughed a little, seemed a bit absent-minded. I wasn't exactly in the mood to laugh, so this time I was dumbfounded. She continued in a cheerful yet still purposeful voice. You're worried about a friend. I don't think you need a reason to go out and check on them. Even if Rika was asleep and you end up waking her, if that's why you did it, then none of us will get mad. Thanks, Rena. Okay then, Keiichi-kun, just one thing. You called Rika's house, right? Then you just couldn't get through, so that's why you asked me where her house is. Yeah, that's right. I must have called her for about, 10 minutes. She could just be sleeping and not have noticed. Rika's house is really small. She would definitely hear the phone ringing even if she was asleep. Satoko was there too, so there's no way neither of them would notice. What? Satoko? You mean Satoko lives with Rika? Yeah, you didn't know? Well, we can talk about that later. Anyway, if you called that much and no one answered, then something's definitely wrong. Ren understood that situation wasn't normal, far faster than I could have imagined. He made her seem dependable. However, the fact Rena had acknowledged this also meant that the base case possibility of all just being the result of my own needless fears went out the window. I'll go to Rika's house right now. Will you come with me? I can show you the way. Sounds good. Let's meet up at the same place as usual. I'll be waiting for you. No, wait. I'll come get you at your house. You just wait there, and tell your family you're coming with me to Rika's house, okay? You think you'll be okay? We might lose time if you come here. Did you call Mi-chan too? She really is dependable at times like these. If you haven't, I'll give her a call. My thoughts froze for a moment. Shiana just told me to be careful around Mion during our phone conversation a while ago. If the Sonosaki main house was somehow lurking behind the surface of the annual freak deaths, then the current heir to the family wouldn't be uninvolved. So wouldn't that mean she wasn't uninvolved with what happened this year to the two, and also the mayor's disappearance? Okay, bye. I'll be right over. Wait for me. That's all Rena said before hurriedly hanged up. Now wasn't a time to be doubting Mion. I need to make sure Rika was safe. I got changed and grabbed the key to my bike. I figured things would go more smoothly if we meet up in the place we usually do before school. Rena wouldn't need to come all the way to my house. My parents wouldn't probably have objected if I told them I was leaving, so I crept out without a word. The night was unusually warm and disagreeably humid. She said that Rika and Satoko lived together, right? Then it wasn't only Rika, Satoko wouldn't be there either. Realizing what them living together really meant caused my thoughts to immediately take a turn for the worse. That can't be. So that means she's got nothing to do with this. Even if there were a reason for Rika to disappear, there shouldn't be one for Satoko. Jikun. Rena was really fast. She approached me on her bike at an amazing speed. Her breath was ragged, painting a clear picture of just how hurried she'd been going. Rena, we gotta get going. Keiichi-kun, I thought I told you to wait at your house. Her expression was all business. Was she mad? It came out of the blue and I faltered for a moment. Well, I just figured it would be faster to meet up here. Keiichi-kun, don't you get it? She shouted, clearly angrily. I'd never seen her like this before. What do I don't get? What's the problem? She seemed to notice that she was scaring me. She took a couple of deep breaths and continued as if admonishing me. However, her expression didn't soften. Keiichi, the whole village is in an uproar right now that the elder disappeared. Uh-huh. Now you're telling me Rika and Satoko aren't where they're supposed to be. Uh-huh. That about sums it up. You need to be more careful. Do you have any idea how dangerous it is to be standing out here in the middle of the night? Huh. So I see where she's coming from. You told your family you're going to be at Rika's house with me, didn't you? So that's the worst case scenario. If you and I were to disappear, people will know when and where we did. She was perfectly level-headed in this emergency situation. Even since the night of the festival, every night someone had died or disappeared. On the night itself, Takano and Tomitake had met strange ends. On the next night, the elder seemed to vanish. Now, on the next night after that, Rika and Satoko might not be found. At least, they're nowhere to be found right now. So I haven't been anything of anyone but myself. But it wasn't enough to say that Hinamizawa was really weird at the moment. It was extremely strange. Rena even had anticipated our own disappearances, and told me to tell my family where I was going. I was embarrassed at my own carelessness, and the need to be embarrassed made me afraid of the night. Sorry, I didn't tell them yet. Okay, then let's go tell them together. With Rena beside me, we wheeled back to the house. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky. A sky that was uselessly vast and cold, so that no matter what, it would never seem to me like a dream. This cruel fact have already confronted me. On such a crazy night, Rena had been unimaginably dependable. Hinamizawa's metamorphosis, enough to make Rena caution me against carelessness, was to me the most fearsome thing of all. The moon seemed strangely high up in the sky. We met up with Mion on the way, and she of course was unsure whether to believe me about the disappearance. Kei-chan, are you being serious? I'm gonna get mad if this is a joke. She was clearly displeased. If this were a joke, it wasn't funny. I understood how indiscreet my words were. Ever since the day before yesterday, someone had either died or vanished every night. Rika and Satoko disappearing after all that was something you couldn't just say, even in jest. Mijin, if it was really a joke, don't get mad, smile. It would be a joke after all. But we need to make sure whether this is real or not. Well, you're right. I'm sorry for getting upset. However indiscreet a joke it may be, if we learned that our friends were safe, it would end up as nothing more than a funny story. Having been warned about that by Rena, Mion gave a dry smile, the tension she felt loosening a bit. She mounted on her bike as well, our 3 bicycles' lights flashed down the pitch-black roads. They were some of the only illumination outside. Kei-chan, why did you decide to call and ask about Rika's house at a time like this? She asked me the same thing that I had trouble explaining to Rena. Would it be weird to call it a premonition? I couldn't quite tell because it was dark, but I thought I could see Mion smiling very ambiguously. I definitely understood that she wasn't convinced, despite the darkness. Well, I had this bad dream while I was snoozing, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. So did Rika get kidnapped? It was more of a vague feeling sort of thing. If Rika had answered the phone, I would have called you and Rena right after that. I smoothly babbled out of my mouth, makeshift though they were. I was lying because I thought telling them that I was connected to Shion and that I would be silently admitting we stolen into the ritual storehouse together that night, or we broken into the ritual storehouse. She didn't press me any further, Mion did. I didn't know whether I had convinced her or not. Or maybe she just figured out that making sure Rika and Satoko were safe, and that would be faster than making an issue out of it. I felt relieved and immediately a little guilty. She hadn't really been acting differently the past few days, but I'm still trying to distance myself from her for some reason. It was only because of what I heard from Shion and Oishi, that she was the successor to some kind of super extravagant gang family. No, was I just trying to force myself to forget? Don't do that, Keiichi. Wasn't it Mion who first asked about the night at the Watanagashi? With such a harsh tone at that? Have I already forgotten the terror I felt? At the time, Mion looked like someone different from the Mion that I knew. When I think about that, then Shion and Oishi's description of Mion made a tiny bit more sense. That's gotta be it, isn't it? If it wasn't for how she acted that day, then I wouldn't be feeling this way. What on earth was going on with her back then? I was conveniently thinking of everything she had done after that, while disregarding the very first thing, the thing I should have been looking for at the most. She was pedaling her bike in front of me, the long hair fluttering in the wind. No matter how I looked at her back, it never gave me answers to my questions. We went all the way to the stone steps leading up to the shrine grounds. Of course, we weren't going to haul our bikes up there. We parked them beside the staircase. So, this is the framerate shrine. Everybody comes and goes as they please as if it were a park, but this place is a grand estate owned by the framerate family. So the entire shrine is private property. Really makes you feel the passage of time. 10, 20 years ago, it would have looked the exact same. Then wouldn't that mean that the framerate family is really old, with a history going back generations? Yeah, they're gone. That's odd. Rena said something clearly disquieting, so I ran over. What's the matter? Rika and Satoko always leave their bikes here. See? They're gone. I took a look around. Indeed, no other bikes aside of the ones we'd taken. Couldn't they have parked them somewhere else? Could they have brought them up the stairs? Well, something went empty. Just as he said that, I couldn't imagine Rika and Satoko lugging their bikes all the way up there. We haven't yet knocked on Rika-chan's door, but reality was already sparking some ideas that weren't what you call good ideas. Maybe they were just parked under some trees and we didn't notice. I refused to believe that not being able to find their bikes here was proof they disappeared. So how about we go? The only way to be sure is to check the house. We all nodded and dashed up the stone steps. We passed through the red arc and came onto the shrine grounds, covered in neat gravel. So quiet here, as though the festival never did happen. So, where's the house? Over here, come with me. Rena took the lead and sprinted off. We went towards the assembly hall behind the shrine and looped around behind it. In the darkness of the night, there was a small, prefabricated 2-story shack. Looks kind of like a warehouse. The lights are off. Are they sleeping? Let's knock. Rena and Mion neared the shack, which didn't really look like a place a person would live in. Such a beautiful shrine. I figured to live in an equally beautiful house. It was far from what I expected. Rika-chan? Satoko-chan? Are you there? Rena shouted up towards the second floor. Her voice was restrained, but it steadily grew louder. There was no answer. In fact, there wasn't any sort of activity in the house at all. Might be sleeping. Let's wake them up. She banged on the shutter with both hands, and the loud sounds echoed the surroundings. They would have to notice this much noise. They would turn on the light in their room, fling open the windows and yell, "What time do you think this is?" But it wasn't happening. There was absolutely no response. Mion stopped slamming her fists into the shutter, and a silence fell over us. The silence aroused terrible thoughts to us. I could feel the blood draining from my face. It's locked. I wonder if we can get in somehow. She showed no signs of stopping. It didn't look like she would admit they weren't there until we went inside and saw for ourselves. The refusal to give in gave me strength. The 6-story windows wouldn't be locked. I'll give them a try. Kei-chan, there's a ladder here. She brought over a ladder that was standing against the house. The footing was unstable for me to be climbing, but Mion held the ladder firmly in place. I hadn't climbed too many ladders. My experience with them exposed, I climbed up one step at a time and tried to open each window on the second floor. Mi-chan, I'm going to check the main house just to be sure. I'll be right back. She darted away. A main house? The Furude family's actual house. After our parents passed away, I think it's been left like that. Right. Rika's parents, they passed away, huh? At that point, I recalled something else. Wasn't Satoko living here too? Satoko's also an orphan. Parents fell from a cliff because of Oyashira's curse. Then her older brother Satoshi had disappeared. Huh. I've heard that name before. I remember. He was the one who disappeared last year because of the curse. Ever since then, those two have been living in a shack. Neither of them have any family, but at least they're together. They help each other out. Rena said main house, didn't she? Wouldn't it be easier to live there? The curtains were drawn, so I couldn't get a good look inside to see. But 2 young girls living together seems like a pretty tough life. I think she tried that at first. She said it was hard because it reminded her of her parents. Oh. I had no idea. I felt really bad for them. Normally so cheerful at school that I never even realized a hint of this. Rika and Satoko, they both have it hard, huh?
That girl is cursed.
Huh. Suddenly she said something in such a low voice that it sounded like she was really cursing someone, and I didn't let it slide. I turned around on the ladder to face her and asked her again, "What did you say?"
I said that girl is cursed.
Mion, still holding the ladder, brought her head up to look at me in the eyes. As soon as our eyes met, an absolute zero jolt of electricity surged through the body. Her eyes clouded over, and with them boiled and bubbled a stew of chaos, whirling around and around like a raging sea, and bubbles floated to the surface. I had at some point been trapped on this ladder like being cornered on a dead-end street. Why are you making that face? I intended to follow up with, "We're going too far with this joke," and gave her a forced smile. But on such uneven footing as I was, the only thing that came out of my mouth was a hoarse groan as I desperately struggled to not let nausea overwhelm me. Satoko Hojo has been cursed by Oyashira, she answers, as if responding to something I never asked. as if replying to another person's question. The only people who fell from the park observation platform were her parents. Only her parents, who treat her like dirt, died that day. She was the only one to survive. Then she was sent to live with her aunt, who treated her cruelly, and the aunt was killed on the night of Higurashi by a deviant, who beat her to death so violently. Her brains were everywhere in her head, and an entirely different shape on the end of it. Then Satoko, who always protected her, suddenly disappeared on her birthday. Someone made him disappear even though he wasn't abusing her. The police judged him to have run away from home, but Satoshi wasn't the kind of person who'd do that. He was always the earnest. He would never ask for anyone else's help. He would have always dragged himself through everything with hard work alone. Worked so hard he nearly ground his bones to dust, all for his one and only little sister. And yet someone made him disappear. She was the only thing he'd lived for. And yet someone made him disappear. Poor Satoshi. Never rewarded, Satoshi. Ungrateful, the damn child is. She's cursed. All who get near her suffer the same fate. The curse kills them, or the curse makes them disappear. She cannot have any relief. She cannot have any relief. It's probably her fault that Rika disappeared too. Oh god, it's repeating, so I might as well insert that clip.
It has to be her fault. It has to be her fault. It has to be her fault. It has to
Hey,
be her
come
fault.
on! Calm down, Mion!
It has to be her fault. It has to be her fault.
Mion was mumbling words over and over again that were no longer coherent. Her shoulders were trembling so hard I could felt it through the ladder. I almost lost footing, which made me realize just how far away the ground is. Calm down, I asked. I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't sure if she even heard me. She rocked back and forth, and the rocking and trembling became more violent. God help me! The ladder, it's falling! Help me! Please! Just then I heard a sound of people running towards us. Oh hey, over here! I very nearly said help me outright. 4 or 5 adults with Rena ran over here with flashlights. Keiichi, Micha, sorry I took so long. I had to borrow the key. Oh, nice one. Seems all the windows and doors are perfectly sealed. I was getting worried. When I heard Mion talk like nothing had just happened, I again felt a chill running through my spine. The person currently holding the ladder in place was definitely Mion. It was the real Mion Sonozaki. But the person muttering to themselves just a few seconds ago, who the hell was that? The person who was mumbling about terrible things like curses and... Who was that? I jumped down from the ladder as if running away before Mion turned it to the person who wasn't Mion that second time. The adults tried a few different keys on the key ring as they tried to open the big shutter on the first floor. Oh, don't worry about that notification. Rika-chan's house used to be a disaster shelter for the town council, so the key to the shutter is still kept in the mayor's house. It's Rika and Satoko's private residence now, though. Well, this is on Rika's property anyway. Nobody complains about it. She gave me a smile as she said that. I just could only return her gaze with an aghast expression. Eon was acting all too normal now. But that only contrasted all the more sharply with the earlier, un-Mion-like creepiness. The shutter opened up for the first time in a very long while. Rena located the light switch and wasted no time. I followed her in. Rika, Satoko, if you're here, say something! We climbed a narrow staircase. It looked like nothing more than a warehouse. But now that I was inside, I could felt how it lived. It was like a person's home. Somehow the scent of the two of them filled the place. Definitely where the two live. The first floor doubled as a town assembly warehouse, but the second floor was a space entirely for living. Just like a one-room apartment, past the kitchen was a living room taking about 150 square feet. Dressers, cupboards, and the like were packed into space, and in the corner there was a huge pile of clothes that appeared to have just been taken from drying outside. In the center of the living room was a fold-up table, and there were small containers for things like soy sauce, salad dressing. The sense of a frugal lifestyle drifted from all of it. It was strange that they weren't here in the middle of the night. The adults climbing the stairs one at a time began to make a fuss and talk about themselves. So not here? Yeah, they're not here. Definitely weird. The village had just been thrown into chaos yesterday because of the mayor's disappearance. And today, Rika and Satoko. Were they out playing somewhere together? Can't be. Their bicycles aren't here though. Where would they have gone so late at night? Have they just not come back yet? Where did they go? The adults put forth various possibilities, and the house immediately devolved into a state of confusion. Eventually, Mion had to settle them down. I don't want to believe it, but the Mayor Kimiyoshi disappeared yesterday. We can't say that this is unrelated. The adult's face paled at Mion's declaration. Mine and Rena's did as well. Let's see. They couldn't have gone nearby for some tea or something and accidentally fell asleep. Whoever invited them just might not be able to wake them up at all, too. Let's eliminate that possibility first. Makino, go around the houses near the stream. Keitaro, go look near Ojigao Lake. Okamura. She promptly gave directions to villagers. The adults followed them without hesitation, despite her age. We'll remain here and call up anyone we can think of on the phone. Everyone, you have your orders. The adults all roared in reply and pounded back down the stairs. Wow, Mii-chan, you're not only chairperson of the school, but Hinamizawa? No time for jokes. Hey, step aside. This old man is using the phone.
She grinned. Oh, wow.
Sorry, my nose itch. She grinned proudly, took the receiver, and got started dialing. She gave me on a trusting look, considering her dependable for her doing all this. My feelings, though, were a little more complicated. Since her leadership seems to be affirming the Sonosaka family successor impression that Shion and Oishi gave me. Oh, fucking hell. Stop it! None of that matters right now. The most important thing is to make sure Rika and Satoko are safe. Let's see. Couldn't there be a clue hiding as to where they might have gone somewhere in this room? Still, though, I wouldn't know what to look for anyway. If we tore the whole place apart and figured out it was different from before, we might be able to spectate, but there was nothing strange about this room and no clues in sight. In the first place, I had never been here before. No way for me to know what was different if I didn't know how the room usually looked. Don't give up. Stop thinking. Start looking. Something. Anything. In search of anything, I tried to pull open the dresser drawers and open the windows. I didn't uncover anything meaningful, though. Rena was also unable to stand around doing nothing. She was looking around the room like I was. Rena, I don't think you'll find Rika-chan by opening the refrigerator or cabinet underneath the sink. I just thought I might be hiding. As we were searching, it got a little noisy outside. Villagers were quickly assembling here, having heard the commotion. Of course, a lot of them were probably people Mion called. I'll go tell everyone what's going on. The police will be here sooner or later. We'll need to explain the situation to Oishi. She began descending the stairs, and we followed her out to the front of the house. There were already 10 adults. All of them looked uneasy. I suddenly noticed the old people from the shrine were here as well, praying for Rika's safety, rubbing their prayer beads. This got bad. This wasn't just a problem between friends anymore. Mion, is it true that Rika and Satoko aren't anywhere? The villagers all formed a ring around Mion, swarming her. She raised her right hand as if silently telling them to calm down. First, we need to check every house according to the town's council's notification division. See if there visits anyone. After all, they could be fast asleep and totally unaware that we're looking for them. It would definitely be hard for someone to wake up Rika if she had eaten a good full meal and then fallen asleep like a kitten afterwards. Oh, how nice if it would be if it were that case. I don't want to think about this, but it's also possible something bad happened. She grew remarkably grim. A wave of silence washed over the adults. We should divide up the work too. We'll go around to all the places we went last night looking for the mayor. We'll go look around the dam construction site as best we can. You guys go search around the school. Let's get a move on. Come on, let's go. Alright, all of you that were up all night looking for the mayor, I know you're all low on sleep, but do your best. Got it. With that as their signal, the adults scattered in every direction. I figured I should scatter somewhere as well, so I started walking unsteadily in a direction no one else gotten in. I was getting farther and farther from people. I didn't feel scared or anything, though. If someone were made to disappear, Shion and I should have been first. It would have been perfectly normal for me to be scared of the dark, but I didn't feel that way. Why was that? It was because tonight someone had already disappeared. Now, what the hell's wrong? Sorry. So nobody else would disappear tonight. It would take some time before I, exhausted as I was, would feel guilty at the cause of my own selfishness and this sense of relief. Suddenly the vision cleared and a cold wind caressed the body. This was the hill from which you could see the whole village. Looking down from this hill, I could see lights on here and there, and the entire village had awoken from its slumber. First Takano and Tomitake, and then the mayor. And now even Rika and Satoko had been sacrificed, and word of it was spreading everywhere. The strength in my knees left me. This could no longer be a joke. We could have found them. Mia and I would have told me I was a worrywart, and Lena would just be glad we did. And they would have smiled at me. My hopes disappeared as if I were awaking from a dream. This was what the view I could see was telling me. Following my knees, my arms both bent forwards onto the ground, and I clawed at it with my nails. I couldn't figure out if I was feeling sorrow or frustration. Is this my fault? I couldn't endure the burden of my own sin, and I had just told Rika about it. They had nothing to do with it, but Rika and even Satoko might have been sacrificed. It was like a cross that Shion and I would each have to bear the weight of until ourselves were erased. Well, if we're going that far, the problem started long before that. The original sin of breaking taboo and entering the storehouse without asking. I knew I shouldn't have gone in there from the start, yet I lost out to cheap curiosity. I haven't felt so angry at myself until this very moment. It was a crunching sound. I wasn't even interested in who made a noise, desperate as I was. Keiichi! Keiichi, are you alright? Rena. Perhaps my clawing at the ground made it look as though I was having stomach pains. She ran over and rubbed my back, like she was trying to make me feel better. This is all my fault. It's because of me. It's my fault. Keiichi's fault? You didn't do anything wrong. Don't blame yourself for this. I could tell she was doing her best to choose the right words out of consideration, so I could sense her intent behind it. You know why Rika and Satoko disappeared, didn't you? That's what she really meant to say. Because it was an emergency, Rena ignored the reason why I wanted to make sure she was safe. But now that we actually confirmed her disappearance, it's only natural that she would start to wonder why. However, with the situation going this far, I couldn't possibly tell her now. I didn't want to admit that Rika and Satoko disappeared, but I couldn't let Rena disappear either. Keiichi, if you stay out here in the wind, you're gonna catch a cold. She sat down, bringing her eyes to level with mine. They told us the children should go back home to sleep. She told me at her watch. She showed me her watch, I'm sorry. She says just that. As long past 1 in the morning. Time was passing too quickly. Had I been crawling around here for that long? If we don't sleep soon, we'll have trouble getting home for school. Even the adults are really worn out since they were up searching for the mayor last night. They were saying that they'd break it up a little early tonight. I was a little upset that they weren't allotting as much time to this as they had been searching for the mayor, but that was something I, the cause of everything, had no right to criticize them for. It's alright. The police arrived a little while ago. Look, there's police cars coming to the village. Hearing that remark, I looked down at the village to see that there were indeed more cars than one that would normally be expected at this hour, coming from the darkness on the other side of the mountain. None of the emergency lights were on. Of course, their silence weren't wailing either. Of course, all the incidents that occurred right after the Watanagashi were the product of Oyashiro-sama's curse, and it will be handled in secrecy. Rika and Satoko's too. Their disappearance will end up exactly like the other serial incidents in the past. Surreptitious, unresolved, declared a mystery, and disappeared from memory. Her face, her sweet face like a Western doll's, she would fade away. Her smile, that energetic, fanged, her smile would fade away. The more I tried to remember them, the less I would be able to. I deserved to be called an idiot dozens of times over, and it wouldn't be enough. I couldn't hold back the tears to my own sheer stupidity. I don't know what you're blaming yourself for, Keiichi, but you should stop. I wasn't about to deny it, I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't harm it either. I wanted to at least keep Rena out of this. If she found out, she would be involved. Please, Rena, could you just leave me alone? Even if I went home, I wouldn't be able to sleep. I couldn't get to sleep, and I at least wanted to search for her until I collapsed. The entire village was looking, yet they still haven't found her. I don't think I'll be able to find him if I went looking at this point. I have to do it. They disappeared because of me. I couldn't possibly go to sleep while other people are out there searching. I said it to myself in self-deprecation, but I soon realized Rena was silently trying to find a meaning in the mumblings. I realized I misspoke. It's Keiichi-kun's fault? Ow, shit. Why did you think that? I can't be. Keiichi-kun, you're not at fault. I was happy that Rena said these things to me. But she only did it because she didn't know the truth. If she knew that everything had been caused by my breaking taboo on the night of the festival, then even she would curse my existence. But I can't even allow for those curses. That would mean confessing my own crimes to her. If I spelled even one word of having snuck into the ritual storehouse on the night of the festival, she could even disappear in the night. The gentle-spirited, always joking, always howling, but at a time like this, the most dependable person in the world, Rena, she might disappear. I don't want that. Anything but that. I need to bear my own cross this time. Alone. Keiichi-kun, I know you always have your friends in your heart. I can really understand feeling like you want to kick yourself. Rena knows, though, it's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong, and I know that. Rushed up my back and replaced the sorrow in my heart with fear. I didn't tell her anything, did I? Maybe I accidentally said something to cause her to figure it out? Oh, it's bad. This is bad. Now she'll disappear. She'll disappear. Rena's gonna disappear. And in the same way I always did. She grabbed my head and began to pet it roughly. Keiichi-kun, are you thinking that Rena might disappear now? Because of Oyashiro's curse? She put more force in the hand and rubbed my head. You don't need to worry about that. Ren isn't going anywhere. I promise. How could you say that with such confidence? I mean, someone's been sacrificed every night. No proof that it wouldn't happen again tomorrow. There was even less proof after that. The sacrifices wouldn't be enough. I don't care who you are. Just please, if you're gonna erase someone, erase me first. Stop the quarreling going around, getting rid of people we're close to. Like the mayor for Shion, and Rika and Satoko for me. Shion's hysterical shouting came back to my mind. They must be planning to kill us last of all. They're not gonna kill the first people who come to mind. They'll just start killing those we're close to. Then after they cause us so much pain, they'll end us. That must be what they're doing. Greta? Please don't disappear. Don't. As long as I'm still here. I can no longer conceal the sobs welling up within me. Come on, Kichi-kun, don't cry. It doesn't suit you. Let's go back with the others. The housewives are cooking some miso soup. It'll warm up and calm me down. She probably need to stand. I didn't have the energy to oppose her, so I stood as she urged me to. We returned to the shrine grounds to find several gas stoves there with miso soup in big pots. The many villagers there sipped the soup they were giving in dead, stony silence. Their expressions were absolutely exhausted. Everyone had just been running around the village until a while ago. From the dreary looks on their faces, I assumed they hadn't come up with anything yet. Kate-chan, where the hell did you go? I was worried that you disappeared. Sorry. She held out some miso soup, but I refused the offer. I just didn't have much of an appetite. Mi-chan, how is it? Did you find any clues? She took a sip of her soup. The expression is frank. None. School ended and they went home. And two of them went somewhere on their bicycles. Nobody ever saw them riding their bikes, so... When it gets dark out, people quickly vanish from the streets. Aside from adults hurrying back home from town in cars or bikes, though it's normal to see absolutely nobody walking around. It wasn't at all strange nobody would see Rika and Satoko riding their bikes. Same last night with the mayor. No hope. Her apathetic tone break my nerves, but the anger quickly subsided. She'd been doing all sorts of things to try and find Rika until just a second ago. If I asked her, she probably said she was all up night last night too, looking for the mayor, wouldn't she? Must have been far more fatigued than I was. Besides, what about me? I spent the time hunched over in indecision all alone. No right to say anything to her. Kei-chan, I know it's hard, but let's turn in for tonight. We just decided we should break up the search. Drink this and we'll call it quits. Since the end? No, of course not. Once it's bright out, we'll do a thorough search with the police's help. They couldn't have gone to Okinomiya. People are even saying we should go through all of Shishibone City, investigating whether there are any major witnesses for both girls and the mayor. Anyway, I want to know what the hell happened. Where did you go off to? Vanished all of a sudden, I was starting to worry. So I was on the receiving end, but I didn't have the willpower to respond. I'm just sorry, I'll be more careful. Nothing happened? Wasn't anyone suspiciously spying or stalking you? She demanded with a serious expression. I was being criticized for how considerate I had been. Despite being in so much pain, I was frustrated I was being criticized, but it was my sin. My sin. And I gotta bear it alone. Nothing. I'll be careful either way. I'm sorry. Now aware that nothing had happened, Neon heaved with a big sigh on her shoulder, looking relieved. My. I knew I smelled something good coming from over here. I'd be much obliged if you allow me to have some. we heard the repulsive voice of a fat fuck. Oishi, trailed by a handful of police officers, acting energetically in a way unfitting given the situation. There's not much left, but you can have some if you want. She didn't like Oishi very much. Her cold attitude, though, didn't seem to bother Oishi in the slightest. It was like splashing water in a frog's face. That's a very strange thing to say. Hang on, I'm gonna get myself situated. There we go. You would not have noticed because I've edited it out. Well, now, miso soup leftovers have a bit too much salt in my taste. Confound it. Would you like any? He recommended it to his subordinates, but everyone gave dry smiles and refused. So have the police gotten hold of any clues? Rena's smile was warm enough to replace the miso soup. Don't you worry, little missy. Everything will be fine. We've searched for them real good. He didn't say a word about having found any new clues, so there has been no progress. Sure was an annoying way of being around the bush. In any case, it really has gotten late. All you youngsters should get on home and get some sleep. It'll be bad for your health. Yeah, Kei-chan, Rena, how about you get some rest? The guys that get our tax money, they'll handle it from us. We're taxpayers too, you know. It's like we're drinking our own piss. Wow, okay. I really wasn't in the mood for laughter, though. Oh, sorry. In fact, Oishi was the one laughing like an idiot. Okay, seriously, please do your best. Let's go home, Keiichi. It'll be harder to wake up tomorrow if we didn't. Yeah, you got that right. I can bring you home if you need. Guma, how about you bring the car around? No thanks, we came on our bicycles. No need to worry. We came in on a truck. We'll just throw the bikes in the back. We might have gotten pretty sleepy, but we just need a ride home at this point. I didn't want to bother the police like that. Right now, however, she nodded. If you insist, we'll appreciate it. It's probably safer than we went back alone. When I thought about it carefully, Rena's idea was extremely rational. That's decided. Let's get a move on, shall we? Okay, later. Good night, Rena, Kei-chan. Yeah, you go to bed soon, okay? Alright. I waved my hand as well, saying my goodbyes. Rika and Satoko was never found. My unease, however, was steadily being pushed away by sleepiness. Rena showed the police where our bikes were so that Oishi could haul them up in the truck. He prompted us to get into the back seat. I could hear the spring squeaking as I sat down onto the seat that would normally hurt a rear end, but at this point it was very soft. Ladies first. We'll start with the little Mrs. house. Where do you live? Thank you. My house is, She grew distant. I felt myself being sucked into the void of sleep. Hello, Mayabara, you asleep? Oh, fuck. When I came to, it was quiet. The car was parked. Oishi was giving me light slaps to the cheek. Didn't feel good at all, so I woke up immediately. Sorry, I fell asleep. Something was being held right under my nose. A clump of metal? A can of coffee. Lukewarm by now, but cafe a lot is good, even at room temperature. Oh, thanks. I mechanically took the can and opened the pull tab. The feeling of the warm, sweet liquid going down my throat awakened the sleepy mind. When my drowsiness receded, I started wanting to know why the car stopped, and I was offered coffee. I wish you had been in the driver's seat. I had been at some point moved to the back. Suddenly I had a very bad feeling about this. Reminding me of the question yesterday at the library. Already too late by the time I realized I made a mistake. Today of all days, it didn't look like I would be getting away. I had a feeling that until Oishi heard what he wanted to, he wouldn't let him go. Don't get all formal on me. I'm not going to eat you or anything. Ayabara. He gulped down the last of his coffee and then stretched wide, showing me how relaxed he was. But it only served to heighten my nervousness. What did you need from me? Need? Nothing, really. You're going to evade the question at this point? What a deeply unreadable man. I don't need you for anything. I just thought that you might need something from me, Maibara. I don't need anything. Oh, I see. Really? Are you sure there's nothing? There was only one side door in the back seat of this truck. In other words, my only exit was blocked off by this man. I couldn't get away. I could only limply hang my head and maintain my silence. Oishi, despite my reticence, relaxed and smoked a cigarette. The cries of the insects outside seemed to be growling louder and louder to a amount of time that it almost seemed indefinite. Here I were, sure that you had something you wanted to talk to me about. Oishi exhaled a puff of smoke. The windows were open, but it still accumulated inside the vehicle. How much did he know? What did he know? What did he want to hear from me? If finding out the truth made it disappear, then if I told him, would he disappear? I had a feeling that I didn't need to worry about that in this case. I wonder how all this ended up happening. Oishi addressed me in a low tone, as if he was talking to himself. How all this ended up happening? How the hell should I know? What I wanted to know. You know Jiro Tomitake and Mio Takano, right? I know you do. I witnessed you during the festival, along with Shion. Do you know how Tomitake and Takano are doing now? They actually passed away, meet untimely deaths. He played that card in order to surprise me. I already knew and didn't display the extreme reaction he expected. What's this? Didn't you already know? Unfortunately for this question in particular, remaining silent was equivalent to saying yes. So, did you also know the reason Tomitake and Takano were cursed like that? People were saying that, apparently. They went into some forbidden building, the storehouse, or ritual implements. That forbidden shed sealing away Hinamizawa's blood-stained past. When the mistake that started it all happened. Do you know about the rumors that say that Rika Furude were cursed because of that? That would mean it was mine and Shion's fault. He was right. As soon as we revealed what we did. What did they call it? A ritual storehouse? They say it was bad luck. The lock to it had been replaced by a simpler one, which made it easier for thieves to get inside. Thieves? News to me. Until last year, it had these big bars and a huge padlock. I mean, you know, ever since the priest and his wife passed away, Rika has been managing the place. Apparently, she talked to the mayor saying she wanted them replaced with a lighter, more simpler padlock because the bars were too heavy. I didn't know anything about big bars he was talking about, but the lock had certainly been a simple one. It was a pretty cheap one, too, and it didn't really fit my impression of what a lock for a place that you would store something as important as ritual implements would like. Rika's a small girl, after all. The bars were heavy with rust, and they must have caused her a lot of trouble. So the mayor hired a craftsman and replaced the lock with a simple padlock so she could open it with a key. So how does that mean it was bad luck? Here's what I'm saying. Thieves couldn't get in with that tight lock. The mayor and Rika replaced it with a cheap lock and a key on their own. So thieves broke into it. Apparently that's how it's going down. The explanation's, letting that slide, certain members of the village delivered punishment upon the thieves who stole into the ritual storehouse, as well as the manager, me and Rika, who changed the lock. At least those are the whispers that seem to be going around. Haibara, what do you think? What do I think? I don't really know that what you mean by certain members of the village. Are you familiar with the three families? Representatives from each of them gave short addresses at the Watanagashi Festival's opening ceremony. Did you see them? I came partway through the festival, so I don't really think I did. The three families are the three oldest families of Hinamizawa. To give them, the Kimiyoshi, the Sonozaki, and the Furude families. They each have quite the lineage, it seems. Long ago it said that everything in the village was decided by a council of the three families. The Kimiyoshi family, Old Man Kimiyoshi, the mayor's family. The Sonozaki family was Mion's, so the Furude family was Rika's family. After the war, the Sonozaki family quickly expanded their influence. Practically speaking, after leading the fight against the construction during the dam conflict, had jumped to the top of the hierarchy in Hinamizawa. You see, though, in accordance with old ways, they still decide important village matters only after consulting with the three families. That's why the leadership of the three families each had their own addresses at the start of the festival. In other words, the mayor, the old lady currently in charge of the Sonozaki family, and the last remaining member of the Furude family, Rika. I heard they were pretty high up there. So Rika's family was just as old? As you're aware, she has no relatives at all. In reality, the Furude family holds pretty much no influence. It seems people gravitate towards Rika on a personal level, and I hear that many of the villagers elderly have blind faith in her. Certainly true that Rika had an odd sort of charisma among the elderly. So what are you telling me all about this stuff? He paused for emphasis, lighting with a cigarette. I've explained a lot, but I suppose it's still not enough. I'm asking because I just don't understand. He gave me another dry, meaningful grin and blew out a big puff of smoke. Members of the three families are disappearing one after the other. That's what I'm talking about. I've read that it's based on some kind of old traditions inherited in Hinamizawa, but I don't know much beyond that. I don't know anything about it either. So that's what I'm asking. The leaders of the Kimiyoshi and Furude families have disappeared. Maybe the leader of the Sonozaki family would disappear? Well, that's just a random idea bouncing around in my head at the moment. I'm kidding, really. Wait, the leader? Who? The current leader is their old lady at the main house. But it would be incorrect to say that practically all the rights of leadership is transferred to her granddaughter, Mion. The visage of Mion giving prompt directions to the adults, while searching for Rika sprung back into my mind. Mion? She's gonna disappear? I even thought about that possibility, and all my hair stood on end. Insane. Nobody would want that, right? Of course not. We won't allow that. Oishi grabbed my shoulders with both hands. How about you help us, Maibara? If there's anything you noticed about Mion lately, I just need you to tell me. I was going all along with him? By the time I realized it was too late. Oishi brought his face in closer, almost enough to ram into me, waiting for my next words. The pressure, I just can't tear my eyes away from it. That moment, I heard a beep from the driver's seat. He ignored it at first, but then it started to bother him, so he finally let us go and leaned onto the driver's seat. Hello? Yeah, loud and clear. I was saved. Of course, it's not like I could escape through this opening. I see. Alright. We'll head back then. Yeah, okay. Apparently he was being recalled. Now that I knew that I'd be freed, the tension in my body dissipated. Looks like I need to get going. We were just getting to the good part. Too bad. He flung open the door, exited, and walked around to the front of the driver's seat. He left the door open. Did that mean I could leave? You really care about your friends, Maibara. An admirable trait for a kid to have in this day and age. I totally understand that it feels like you're betraying them if you told the police anything. Maibara. It's the middle of the night. Get a good night's sleep. Think about it. Just a little bit of courage from you might end up being what saves many of your friends in the end. Did you want to say that the sacrifices wouldn't stop with Rika and Satoko? You know this already. But every night since watching Higurashi, something has happened. The past only occurs once a year, but this time it's going for days. What a prosperous year has this been. I don't think you can call that prosperous. Night before last night, and now today. No proof that something won't happen tomorrow night as well. It's our job to prevent such a thing before they happen. But for that, we need your cooperation. I looked out in the open door to see none other than my own house right in front of me. It creeped me that he knew my name and address, but I was too sleepy right now. I was too sleepy to care. Well, you're probably tired. Already 3 in the morning. How about you get yourself a good rest? Yes, sir. I'll be going now. When I was about to get out of the truck, as if delivering a parting blow, he said in a raised voice, I'll be coming by every day until you feel like talking, alright? I don't believe in forcing you to confess in an interrogation room. I don't believe forcing you to confess in an interrogation room is really in fashion these days. I couldn't say anything in response, but me slamming the door shut probably served the same purpose. After lightly beeping the horn, Oishi's truck drive off. I went to the front door without waving goodbye. The door was locked, but the chain wasn't up. I unlocked the door and entered. Then walked over to the staircase. That was where I lost consciousness. More stuff. Whoops. We just need new tips. The Sonosaki family. The one who drastically expanded its influence after the war was the Sonosaki family. The leader at the time was Oryu Sonozaku, who still has that seat today. Oryu has grown old, and today you can only catch a glimpse of who she was at the time. For what I've been told, however, she was a leader extolled as the best in history. Having become so old, aside of going out a few times a week for lessons, she spent her time at home in solitude, and seemed to leave most of the ceremonial affairs to her heir Mion. There are different views on why the successor was not her daughter, but her granddaughter, but it's rumored to have to do with this omen of her daughter and son-in-law. The uninhibited granddaughter, Mion, still shows no signs of the dignity required in the next leader. However, she does have the blood in her, and is permitted the name of Demon. She still doubtlessly requires caution, and is probably hiding her fangs and claws as skillfully as the leaders of the past did. The elderly leader? Yeah, the postal worker hasn't seen the Sonosaki main house has just seal hanging from their mailbox so that anyone can stamp their mail up parcels and then drop it. That's rather careless of them. So when was she last seen? Last seen at the one Higurashi opening ceremony greetings. She apparently returned home night. Oh, she is pretty old from what I've heard. She goes out a few times to take lessons, right? Finally think about that. Every Monday she goes to the assembly hall to practice the Taisho Gogo. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Taisho Gato? What the hell is that? But she didn't go this week. Any calls to say she was going to be there? Has anyone confirmed it? No, nobody. She apparently takes days off once in a while, so no one thought it was strange. Well, why don't we pretend we're at the town hall and call around 10 o'clock? We'll figure out if she's home or not. 10 o'clock? Got it. Ever since I started to see more and more of an ancient Hinamizawa tradition has something to do with all this, he'd been keeping a careful eye on the three families. At this point, the leader of the Kimiyoshi family and the leader of the Furude family disappeared. There was only one leader left. Oryu, the leader of the Sonozaki family. She apparently was a pretty old woman. Her dignity had waned, but she still only appeared before people rarely, so it was difficult to confirm where she was at any given time. She was the last leader, and it hadn't been seen since the day of the Nagashi. Was she still alive and well? Or had she, according to Mion, she fell ill and was sleeping it off. I wonder if she's really sleeping. I'd like to take a look at her face and her pulse. You can say that again. The two of them breathed out a big puff of cigarette smoke. Oh, is she? About to search warrants for the Sonozaki main house in Furude. Do you think we'll get them? He didn't respond. He exhaled a cloud of tobacco smoke. His surroundings as foggy as his mind. From the scrapbook. The hidden demon. The inhabitants of Hinamizawa believe the blooded demons flow in their blood. As searched the character for demon, that is treated as very sacred. For example, usage of that character and names is apparently a right reserved for only leaders of the Kimiyoshi and the Sonozaki families. Case in point, we can see it in the current Sonozaki family leader's name, Oryu, as written with this character. This and only this is proof she is the legitimate leader of the Sonozaki family. In the same way Mion is a successor, contains this in her name, with me being written as thus. It also goes for Ori's daughter, and Mion's mother Akane, who didn't succeed her. It's known that before disowning, Akame's name was actually written as this, though it was changed afterwards to this, which still reads Akane, but without the demon character. Incidentally, it's still the first character, the Mayor Kinchiro's name is this, originally the meant demon, which can also be read as key. It should be said that the names used in this character aren't limited to successors of the Sonozaki family. You can even find it in the last names of the three families. For example, characters in Kimiyoshi, these two, are likely a split-up version of this. If you write it in reverse and top to bottom, it clearly resembles the character that you see here. As for the Furude family, written as thus, who had been in the Shinto priesthood for generations, the word for fortune teller can be written without interval characters, as thus. I think that with the addition of a demon's horn, the tick on the top of the character this becomes that is used in their name now. In the case of the Sonozaki family, where Sonozaki is written as this, I can't find any reference to the character that. Perhaps because it's already ingrained into the first names. They were the clan responsible for running the Watanagashi ceremony, so I think instead they include the contents of that ceremony into their last name. The Zaki in Sonozaki is a conjugation of the word for slice, and Sono is written as this, probably contains the hidden message of human body as it is a complicated mess enclosed by 4 sides. I think that in other words, Sonozaki comes from those who slice open the gut. Last but not least, request denied. I'm back! How'd it go? Find any clues? The officers shook their heads in disappointment. Exhaustion was painfully showing on each face. It was only natural. None of them had gotten a wink of sleep since the day of the festival. Chief, let the youngest of us take a nap and then switch him out. We've got a long stretch ahead of us. Let's not push ourselves so hard. Rest up so we can take it easy. I've been telling them to sleep in shifts. Nobody actually seems willing to sleep. Did you tell them yourself, Oishi? Oh my. You don't need to force yourselves. Komiyama, let everyone sleep in shifts, starting with the youngest. Komiyama-san, please do that. After that, the chief told him as well. Komiyama left. So, Chief, still no good on our request. Just a rumor among the villagers in the first place. It would be difficult without more concrete evidence. Even with that evidence, it might be tucked away there. We need evidence that evidence is tucked away in there. Chief, don't start speaking in riddles. We have witnesses to say 4 people, including the 2 who died, went into the forbidden ritual storehouse without permission. All reliable information. You might call it information, but they're really only rumors. They're not concrete. True, we don't have pictures, so the 4 end up sneaking in with claw tied around their heads. Anyway, those 4 saw something inside that storehouse. So something is important enough that they be erased. Important enough? What would that be? That's why I'm asking for a warrant to go for the 4 in the first place. Anything pointing out that Sanasagi's family's connections to pilot organizations would be a major contender, like a Tokorez or a secret poppy production facility. The secret Sonasagi family fortune would also be pretty difficult. Look, Oishi, I know how you feel, but that storehouse is a sacred building that belongs to the Furude Shrine, and we need to have proper consideration for the locals. I heard that there was an hour-long call made from Congressman Sonozaki to the big man. Chief, could he have nailed you back down? Anyway, as long as we don't have simple evidence, we can't get a search warrant for the storehouse. It goes for the Sonozaki main house, too, especially considering that's the jurisdiction of both Section 4 and the Prefectural Police Crimes Prevention Division. We need careful preparations. You can say you need preparations, well, just let me talk to them directly. Shinga-chan is the head of Section 4, right? Crime Prevention is Yamaomi. They seem like they'd be quicker to talk if I sat down at a mahjong table. Chief, you have a visitor. Yikes. Pushing the employee who guided him right in the way was an old man who looked like a Yakuza member, given his crest, kimono, and hakama. Did he not get it up for this over the phone? I am Congressman Sonozaki. I demand to know who's responsible for this instant. Hey, I'm the division chief, Takasugi. I don't need your name. I could have you demoted on a whim. You wouldn't even be enough. Bring on the one called Oishi. He'd serve us punished for requesting a search warrant on the sacred Furude Shrine. I sincerely apologize. Oishi was carrying out an investigation. He's been difficult to contact. I'll take his place and hear you out, so please have a seat. The chief's eyes were telling me to get out of here. Perhaps I'll gratefully accept this favor. Maybe I'll go lay down in that room. Listen here, the Furude Shrine spends 26,000 years under that imperial gallery, and 2,500 more beyond that. It is sacred, a sanctuary that must never be defiled. The 800,000 gods, Oyashiro-sama, and the spirit of our ancestors are enshrined there. That can't be right. The holy shrine protects Hinamizawa from when the sun comes up to when it sets, and from when the moon rises to when it falls. Who is the idiot that wants to set foot in there? Besides, the right to religion is the most revered right of people in this country in the Constitution. Do you dare be so bold as to solely that use your own investigation's negligence as pretext? I cannot. I will not allow it. Are you listening, you might scum? I'm angry, so you better not get out talk that easily. Man. Bitch, bitch, bitch. That's all you ever do, mother. I still think that things are going to get worse.